To install this plastic disc on the pointer of your speedometer, you first need to remove this outer trim ring, which is crimped in place at 4 points around the outside edge of the speedometer. It's important to pry slowly and evenly to prevent cracking the trim ring. All 4 points should be fully uncrimped to allow the trim ring to be lifted straight up. Under the trim ring is the glass, then the inner trim ring. Here is the pointer that has fallen off the original plastic disc. Now the mechanism is separated from the housing by removing these 2 screws. Then the mechanism just slides out of the housing. These 2 black screws are the only points on this gray disc that have support from below. So that is where you need to pry to remove the center. I use a screwdriver and a fork to pry the center off the speedometer. It's important to provide even pressure from both sides. Now you can see that both the shaft coming out of the speedometer and the hole in the centerpiece are round and smooth. The center is made up of 3 parts: chrome-plated T-shaped piece, the remnants of the original plastic disc that we are here to replace, and a washer. Lift the washer away from the centerpiece using a pair of side cutters. Remove the washer and the remnants of the plastic disc from the T-shaped piece. Now we're ready to install the new plastic disc. It will need to have this blue covering peel off of both sides. Be careful with this plastic because it's very easy to scratch it. And it is just placed over the center and popped into place. Now the washer goes over top, and I use this hollow tube. Important to seat it fully on top of the plastic disc. That seems pretty tight. The disc doesn't want to rotate and the washer doesn't want to pull off, so it seems like that's locked in place pretty tight. So the next step is to put the pointer on. And need a pair of needle nose pliers. What I do with that is I carefully take these small, there's a series of small bent over tabs all the way around the outside edge, and a larger bent over tab in the back. That larger one can stay in place, but all the smaller ones need to be bent up. So just carefully bend these so that they're 90 degrees to this surface. Don't need to bend them too far. Okay, so now plastic disc, making sure that the larger chrome piece is facing down, and you can place this into the center, into the pointer at any position, because the pointer can go back on the mechanism at in any direction. That is now in place. I use this pair of pliers that I have has a rubber protection over one of the jaws to protect the upper surface of the pointer. And I carefully press tabs back over. And the tighter they are, the more even things look once installed. Okay, there's a reassembled pointer. Pointer is reattached to the plastic, the center is reattached to the plastic, and this is ready to install. So for reassembling, now is a good time to verify the functionality of the mechanism and to clean any of the parts that are dirty. The speedometer finds 0 by this portion of the speedometer being returned by a spring up against this stop here. So to make sure the pointer is pointing at 0 to start with, it's important to make sure that this part of the mechanism is up against the stop. So I'm going to hold that with my finger up against the stop while I press the pointer in place. So my finger's holding this 0. I'm going to line the pointer with this bottom mark, which is 0 on the speedometer, and then press it with moderate force into place. And there I go. Okay, so now that that's at 0 and pressed into place, the mechanism should be functional. And as you can see, when you bounce the speedometer, it returns to 0. So now it's ready to be mounted in the housing. The reassembly procedure for this speedometer is just the reverse of the disassembly that was demonstrated at the beginning of this video. Assuming the only thing wrong with your speedometer was the shrunken plastic disc, you should now have a fully functional speedometer ready to mount into your truck.